have you ever found yourself scrolling through social media or maybe listening to someone's accomplishments and suddenly felt a sinking feeling in your stomach? A feeling that whatever you're doing, no matter how hard you're trying, is just never enough? I want to take you back to a moment when I felt exactly like that, weighted down by feelings of self-doubt. Becoming socially active after seasons of sitting at home due to the pandemic and political situation had its impact. After, as I thought, an unsuccessful day out, when they had to make friends with all the people in the room, I felt like I'm a bad companion, like the problem lies in my character. If I had acted differently, this thought came to my mind when overthinking. Later, I would scroll my acquaintances' photos, videos, and posts, each one amplifying of my sense of not being good enough. I thought I was motivating myself by looking at the success of others. In fact, I was destroying my self-confidence step by step. I kept telling, why can't I be as successful as them? Why I'm not there yet? Sound familiar? We've all been there. Society, from the time we're young, subtly teaches us to measure our lives against others. Family members might say, oh, look how that person is doing, or you'll grow to be just like them. And you started seeing people as these benchmarks. And so, as teenagers and adults, we naturally fall into a cycle of social comparison. According to the data portal April Global Overview, almost 60% of people compare themselves regularly, especially when browsing social media, when everyone's life seems so perfectly put together. But let's be real, social media is just a highlight reel. It doesn't show the hours of hard work, the struggles or failures of the ideal moment. And yet, we still find ourselves measuring our whole lives against these tiny glimpses of other people's life. This impulse to compare ourselves isn't just a modern social media phenomenon. In psychology, there's a concept called social comparison theory, or as they call it, SCT, developed by Leon Festinger. This theory suggests that people evaluate their own abilities based on how they measure up to others. It's a natural, even primal behavior. When we look at others, it helps us understand where we stand. But here's the downside. If left unchecked, it can lead to jealousy, resentment, and constant dissatisfaction with ourselves. As Yale Triodos research paper says, over 70% of people say they feel worse about their whole lives after viewing someone else's perfect post. This concept is called the contrast effect, especially strong in teenagers and adults who are still developing their identities. Social media takes this tendency and multiplies it tenfold. Instead of comparing ourselves to people we see once in a while, now we're comparing ourselves to hundreds of people every single day. Surveys taken by University of Alberta say that more than 90% of teenagers are active on social media, with many spending over 3 hours daily on platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. This daily bombardment keeps us trapped into a cycle of social comparison. We get stuck in what some call the compare and despair loop. Have you ever noticed how certain environments like school or gym seem to have an urge to compare? In the school, we measure by grades, rankings, and achievements. In the gym, it's all about personal records, body transformations, and how fast or strong we are compared to others. These places can be inspiring, but they can become traps if we're constantly looking at others instead of focusing on our own growth. Now let's address a misconception that's often associated with comparison, that it's always a sign of jealousy. People assume that if you compare someone, you invite them, that you simply wish for what they have. But here's the truth. Comparison and jealousy are not the same thing. In fact, comparison is often rooted into self-doubt rather than in why. When we see someone else succeeding, it's natural to ask, what am I missing, or why can't I do that? It doesn't mean we want to take what they have. It simply reflects our own insecurities. Instead of feeling guilty, we can use comparison as an opportunity for growth and self-improvement. But how do we actually turn comparison into a positive force in our lives? For me, I knew I had to make a change. But I didn't know where to start. I tried all the usual fixes. Positive affirmations, journaling, even detoxing from social media, but nothing seemed to help. The comparisons would creep back as soon as I opened an app or saw someone else succeeding. Then, one day I opened my CV. I started looking at all the things I'd actually done. It was all there. Projects, accomplishments, goals that I'd almost forgotten because I'd been so busy at looking at what everyone else was doing. That's when I realized something. I wasn't like an inadequate. I was using the wrong scale to measure my life. That day, I had a breakthrough. What if I could use a comparison as an advantage? Instead of it bring me down, what if I could use it to inspire and motivate myself? In psychology, there is a concept called the positive reframing, and it's as powerful as it sounds. Instead of focusing on things I didn't have, I focused on what I did. I turned my energy and values towards things that matter to me and aligned with my values, rather than trying to live up to someone else's standards. It wasn't easy, but it was transformative. And now I want you to invite to do it yourself. Take out a phone or a piece of paper and write down 3 things that matter to you, 3 goals you value, and 3 accomplishments you're proud of. Go ahead and do it right now. This simple exercise can help you reconnect with your unique journey and shift your mindset. Make a list of things right now if you can that matter to you, your own criteria for success. Because at the end of the day, the only journey that truly matters is the one you walk yourself. So, here's what I want you to remember. The only person you need to be better is the person you were yesterday. Your life is a journey, and it's uniquely yours. Let's turn our focus inward, celebrate our progress, and give up the credit for the things we've accomplished.